It looks like it might be just the outline of that pole over there, which is okay. So, who the heck were Eliza and Charles Pinckney? They had a son named Charles, they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Chucks, in case you lost count. That's why we look for secondary clues, so I know which one's actually coming through. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a big deal for us, but I hate politics. We're going to move on to Eliza. Not to mention, it is Women's History Month, so we're going to be talking about Eliza quite a bit. So, who the heck was she? She married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. I say today's standards because if we're going to ask her how old she was with the communication device, you're not going to get numbers like 12 and 14 from the colonial times that she came from.
I saw something.
Today's standards. I bring this up because...
Might be the pole. Why don't you move it around a little?
Yeah, he's actually, the more still he is, the better.
Oh, the more still you are, the better. Okay,
Oh,
never mind. The more still you are, the better. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
he's good.
You're doing
He's
a good job.
recording, so he's good.
Okay, good.
But at any rate, so Charles, her husband, was over double her age. That's the reason why I bring this part up. It's kind of a creepy age gap in the 1700s, definitely a creepy age gap now. Yeah, you laugh. Wait till you hear the numbers. But at any rate, she married him because her father was over in England, and he thought he was dying. He's trying to bring his children home one last time so he can see him before he dies. Well, Eliza didn't believe he was dying, so she stayed put and got married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card. We're not even a country yet. So she was right, by the way. Dad didn't die right away. Instead, he started sending her gifts from England to where we're standing now. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. That's how we use it today. However, she didn't know what to do with these seeds when she got them, at least how to go through the whole cultivation process. So she had to learn from her servants and slaves. How high?
4.4.
Okay.
14.3.
Nice. That's our new base. Don't go below that. So I have to write those down. Remember what those numbers were.
23.3.
Now that's our new base. The average for spike for this is 18 to 22. Let me finish the history and I'll explain that device a little bit further now that we're actually getting some readings. But that's good that you're getting those readings. That's a good sign. So hopefully Kristen's just missing something, some kind of message coming through. But at any rate, where was I? Oh, so she had to learn from the servants how to cultivate everything. Once she figured it out, she moved into a cash crop plantation down by the Stono River. Got a hold of her dad and said the rice plantations were going downhill, that they were going to make a killing with the indigo. And we now have an international businesswoman during colonial times. So this is absolutely unheard of. So that's the boring business stuff of Eliza. Let's get into the weird stuff because that's why you guys are here. So let's kind of go through a quick series of questions of things that I commonly get the answers to. Laura, I'm going to start with your devices. Obviously the mansion's not here anymore, so you can ask what happened to it and then when did that happen, and hopefully we get the date in some way, shape, or form. Normally if we get the what, we'll get 2 or 3 numbers out of the date.
Are you looking at your device?
Yes. Front.
Oh, that's interesting. I asked what happened to the mansion, and it's telling us at the front, and that's exactly where it occurred. Now, the other questions that you can ask, let's see, what do I want to give you? You can ask how many children she had and what their names were, but that's it. The reason why about the children is because there's a tragedy there. If we poke the bear, all activity is going to stop, including the EMF readings.
How many children does she have?
I'm not going to tell you. You're going to find out from your boxes over there.
It's just going it's just going so fast. I can't really get
It's actually at its slowest level.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
And when things stand out, trust me, they will stand out.
Okay.
Now,
Okay,
the
good.
questions I'm going to give you are about her death. So how old she was, what did she die from, where she's buried,
Okay.
and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral.
Okay.
So again, even if you're not getting the questions, keep in mind we have many communication devices out tonight. We
Yeah.
have 2 cameras, my voice recorder, so if you're asking a question, it could show up anywhere. That's why I kind of have you guys spread out in here a little bit.
Okay.
You stay away from the vehicles. But let me explain Donna's device here a little bit first before we move on. This device, if you were to put it behind your TV, would read about 40 to 60 milligauss. We normally get an average of 18 to 22 in this space, and that's a spike. Like it goes up to that number and then drops back down to nothing. I will tell you that the highest I've ever seen that device go has been in here at 214 milligauss. We actually had a 170 in here last week, so that was pretty exciting, and I was the one using it. So because it was a small party, so I was the one using that device that night. So I was pretty stoked about that. As we walk around, you're going to be the one to know where all the hot spots are. Obviously, Dominic is capturing small things on there that I need to...
28 points. 65
60, of course, we'll start bringing it up.
Down to 34.
Yep, and it drops just like that. So that's why they call it ghost hunting. They never stay in the same damn spot.
Yeah. It's the,
So, Trey, with your camera, I don't always follow up with you in real time because the screen is small.
Yep.
Put it up on YouTube so I can watch it on a nice big computer screen, and you guys can watch it on your TV sets if you want to. So
Good
again, if
deal.
it feels like I'm focusing on the other communication
That's
devices,
completely
I am.
fine.
And you said 65?
68.
68.
So what happened to her children?
Can you tell us about that later
I
on?
will later before we leave. Again, I don't want to poke the bear just yet. I'm going to give you all the answers to these questions before we leave the space so you can see like how all of these things start to match up a little bit. So again, let's spread out a little bit. Again, stay away from the vehicles. Nice slow movements out of the cameras. If you guys want to stick together, that would be a really cool shot if we actually have the same location, like the same movement as we kind of go through this. Kristen's already hearing a bunch of weird stuff, but she's not sure what to tell me. So
I'm just hearing static and songs and
what songs are you hearing?
no. I mean, I've heard country. I've heard. I don't know because they're all going by so fast.
So
but,
fast.
Yeah.
So you will get better at this, just so you know. Like
Okay.
you've had it in your ear for a whole 5 minutes.
Right.
Not to mention, I was talking over top of it, so
Right.
definitely not an easy task when I'm going, talking over top of it.
Yeah.
So Trey, you can hit that record button in here too. That's the. Yep, you got it.
I see something.
I hate to say, I think that's the.
What is that?
Looks like the outline of the windows. I mean, it is almost in there to a T, like dressed to a.
Yeah.
I do a lot of debunking with his camera because it does pick up a lot of sensitive things.
Yeah.
But if he gets a full figure and I can like interact with it, like, hey, if you're Eliza, raise your right hand, and I get her to raise her right hand, we obviously have something going on. But yeah, you're gonna get a lot of things that just kind of
I heard the word details. I heard the word family.
family, home, and house show up here a lot. Just so you know,
Okay.
like those are really common.
So
So I'm not
interesting.
super stoked about that, and you guys will know when I'm excited because I'll have this exact same tone of voice, and I say, I'm excited, guys. So
Okay.
again, when you do this 5 to 7 nights a week, depending on the weather, like you kind of know what's going to be coming about.
Okay.
So, and again, I get surprised, which is the fun part for me. 'Cause
Right.
That means I get to research even more.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So again, average here is 18 to 22. Your microwave runs 150, 170.
This is crazy. I heard not your fault.
So I do test this thing out every time I get it in because I have several types of electric.
Yeah. Well,
I heard not your fault.
I know it's something. It's 68 and then it just drops to 0.
Yeah.
That's definitely something.
Just like Kristen said, it's not your fault.
You looking down?
The word family is pretty common here.
Then you pink piece right here and it says none.
It says none. It's interesting because it's a direct answer.
Yeah.
What? Let's see.
Nothing. Can't know.
So with your place in the left hand,
Let's see.
there's a sensitivity level here. So just turn it all the way up. It's only half a smidge to make sure we're getting as many letters as possible. The second or third night we used that, we actually kind of
cool is
lost our anagram with one interference. So it's E-U-L-Z-I-A. So it's Yulzia, but the interference of U. So I was super stoked, like, oh my god, that's crazy. So we really haven't had a whole lot of other instances like that, but we've had a few. That one stands out the most to me though, because it's a full anagram.
Spiked to 47. 103.8 and then dropped down.
So what?
It was up to 103.8. Now it's down to 88.
Wow. You need to like kind of stay put. Kristen, what do you got going on over there? Anything?
Nothing really. No,
She
just
said
like
not your
static.
fault.
I
And,
got that one.
yeah, not your fault. That's like really the only thing that's come up. I heard a yes just now.
Are you asking yes no questions over there?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
see if the ghost of a man is here.
She just heard
Said
yes.
Cool.
So again, I normally like throw out yes no answers, but that was pretty direct. However, I want to know who the man is that's actually here. So I want a name. I don't
Okay.
want yes no answers. Ghost.
Who is the name of what is the name of the man that is here? Okay. What is his name? What is your name?
heard Walker.
What is your name?
Dominic, you still on record?
Yeah.
Tell us your name.
We gave up to give him. We gave up to get him.
Are you a good person?
It's a yes or no question. I would like to know the name of the ghost that is here, if you're not one of the Pinkneys.
Are you a pink queen? What is your name?
Jumping around at 56, and goes back down. Jump up to 48, down to 17.
What is your name?
Still good reading.
I heard classical and choral music for the first time ever. And it's, like that's the first time I had heard like classical followed immediately by choral.
Is there a woman here? Is there a woman here? Is the
Dominic,
ghost
you seen
of a
anything?
woman here?
Her ratings have gone way down too. Kristen, you got anything before I wrap this up?
Yeah, it's gone.
She's getting zeros. We were at 103.
Yeah, it's completely zero. No, nothing.
All right, let's wrap this one up. Come on over towards here, towards the wall, just in case it's turning. So, I hate to say, like, I love the fact that you heard a no directly, or a yes directly after a yes/no question. I know it's hard to stay away from yes/no questions, but again, I don't normally find paranormal proof out of yes/no answers.
And I didn't even hear you what
Yeah.
you said because
No, you
I
guys
had
have your
both
backs to
of
each
these
other.
in, and I had both of these in. I can't like hear what anybody's saying. I'm just trying to focus.
Things I should not ask yes or no questions.
Correct. Yeah, because again, you're not going to get. Like,
I just
there's-
heard 48.
Every 48.
First time it's changed.
You heard what? 48?
48.
Every
That was one of your
48.
readings.
That's the reading. I just got a reading here, 48, and then it
Oh,
dropped
okay.
down to... Oh, 69. That goes to 69.
48, 69. So we're going to keep you guys running, but I want to show you the answers before we leave the space. I'm trying to find the tie to the 48, and I can't find it in my head of the dates that I know about this space. So, whenever I'm giving you the answers to a space, I'll usually break out the tablet, kind of show you the visual aids of what's going on. So, this is Eliza Lucas Pinkney. So this is the reason why I use her maiden name is because she was the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. The first wife also had a maiden name that started with the letter L. So Lamb was the first wife, Lucas was the second. And here's the funny thing. This wife, I told you about the double age, like she was half his age. Let's move in closer so that way Donna's not straining in here. This wife was 22 years old when Charles was 45, yes. So I had to think about that for a second. So 45, because you're throwing like the 48s, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not the right number. So again,
divided by 4 is 12. And the 12th letter of the alphabet is L.
Ooh.
now you're stretching it, buddy. That's a big stretch.
Let's just go in.
Now, if we were doing geometry through this, I would say sure, let's grab it. But that's a big stretch. The funny thing is that's going to be in the audio, and I might actually have to go back to listen to that to go, is that right? So I might have to double check you. So anyway, that's the reason why I like to show you this particular picture. What happened to the mansion? This is the only photograph we have of the mansion, just so everybody knows. This is exactly where you're standing right now. This is fire damage from the Great Fire of 1861. Normally when we get fire burning blaze, we will normally get 2 or 3 numbers out of the date. This happened on December 11th of 61. So 12, 11, or 61 usually shows up in a combo somewhere, even though you have the 12th letter is whatever, moving the L. But again, I'm not surprised that I'm showing this picture and the word burn shows up. Not to mention we're standing right in the middle of the damn dining room, if you want to really be technical.
Wow.
So every tour in town is going to tell you about a great fire because Charleston has had dozens of them.
Yeah.
This is a
Wow,
map
look at
of
the fire.
Charleston. So this is the fire that took out the Pinckney Mansion. So you can see obviously the orange is the fire and you're standing on a tiny little green dot. This fire, if you look at the map, went from one side of the peninsula all the way to the other. So this was a giant fire. So the children, let's kind of get into that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big
That's
fire.
destruction right there.
$5 to $9 million worth of damage in 1861.
Wow.
Yeah. So don't ask me what that equates to today unless you want to do the math for me. So,
No, it's
so the children, you were really curious about that. There were 4 of them. So first one you already know about Charles. He was a signer of the Constitution. We're going to move on. Thomas is the next one I bring up. He fought in a Revolutionary War battle, shot in his left leg, and captured by the British during the Battle of Camden. Camden is a city right here in South Carolina, just southwest of here. So when he was released, he was left on a cane the rest of his days. So when we do have portraits of Thomas after that,
I see a full body. I saw a full body.
You do.
Right
That's our
there.
shadows.
Oh.
It picks up shadows. I'm sorry. You got excited. But we all have his I saw a full body on audio. So
That's
we
right.
might actually have to save that. And,
Yes.
but anyway, so the portraits of Thomas Pinckney are going to be of his right side, sitting, so that way he can hide his left leg, and there's a cane over his lap. So those are the cues that I look for when Thomas's name does show up. The next child is the one that I normally say we don't want to poke the bear with. This is Baby George. Baby George died in 1747, June, and was also born June of 1747. We don't know how old he was exactly, but he doesn't have a grave and he doesn't have a headstone. My theory behind this is that they would have mummified this child and kept him right here in the home, waiting for his mother to pass away. So, yeah, it's going to get even more weird. We talk about Eliza's death. But, again, don't go home and Google mummied baby and not expect a phone call from the government. These are religious practices of where I found this information. So, the next child is the only daughter. Her name was Harriet. So I was actually waiting. You said that we had the answer of none if there were any Pinckneys here. I was actually waiting for her husband to kind of come through and kind of see if his name was going to pop up somewhere. She married Daniel Ory. Myrtle Beach is Ory County. That should give you an idea of where she lived, 2.5 hours north of here. Wouldn't have been a 2.5 hour car ride for Eliza. There's no cars. Lots of letter writing instead. When Harriet does show up here, which is very seldom, quill, ink, paper, published. These are the kinds of terms that will show up here. Eliza's
Oh,
death.
weird. I just heard the word pregnant.
Who'd you bring with you?
What?
Who'd you bring with you?
What do you mean?
You're pregnant.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, it's really creepy.
I'm going to be writing that one down.
Okay.
That's obviously relevant to you specifically. We're going to see if
Okay.
something else pops up as well. Possibly
Okay.
your name, birth date, something relative to you directly.
Okay.
So, Eliza was 70 years old when she passed away in 1793. I'd like to point out, first off, that is a long time for a woman to be living during colonial times. That's a ripe old age.
Anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, but 1793 is the year she died.
Yeah.
Like, that's a long time. She was going to Philadelphia, getting treatments for whatever they thought she had. It turned out to be breast cancer. We didn't know what breast cancer was in 1793. We're going based off her medical records today. She died in Philly. She's buried in Philly. That should raise 2 questions in the back of your brains. First off, let's talk about baby George. If my theory is true, they would have transported that baby, got his tomb in a mummy, all the way to Philly from here by horse and carriage. That's a long trek. And,
64.4.
of course, as soon as I bring up George. The other thing is if Eliza's buried in Philadelphia, what the hell are we doing here? I don't take you to actual cemeteries. It's minimal activity. Just so you know, none of you are going to hang out near your grave when you're gone. You're going to go to your mansions 400 miles away, which is exactly why I bring you to the spaces that I do. Who wants to take a guess at who the president was that was the pallbearer at the funeral? 1793.
Who knows?
I'm very good at quizzes.
It's good that you can't answer. Let me explain. It was George Washington. At his own request, wanted to pay homage to Eliza from her indigo that helped get our country started. But when we got here, I told y'all I'm not going to give you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse? And it's one of the first things that I bring up, so that way George Washington is subliminally put in the back of all of your brains on purpose. You all passed with a fail. Good job. So again, that's what I look for. I don't want somebody to just repeat everything that I'm saying, which is exactly why I withhold information. That'll be the only word trick that I play all night long, now that you guys have actually passed. So, wordsmith here. Sorry, master's degree in creative writing. I had to get clever. How are we doing on our terms? Do we have anything coming up there that might make sense?
For me.
For me. That's a weird phrase I don't think I've ever seen on there.
Okay. For me.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever
Before
seen
that was quick.
Maybe quick horse
And
for
this-
me.
When it said burn, this was up here turning red. I was trying to get your attention. I was turning orange and red, and so the word burn came up.
So all that orange and red where it goes crazy like that is just part of the aesthetic of the app. It growls and does all kinds of crazy mess that we don't need. All I need is for the dictionary to actually be there for whoever needs to use it as far as ghosts go.
Yeah, that's good. And then
What's it say now?
choking.
So I wanted to talk about bleed over for a second. We're still near Big John's. We're going to find bleed over in these locations like this. We do have the word choking. I'm not super convinced that, remember, John got shot in the neck. So again, I'm not super convinced that that's relative yet until I find something else or we hear something else, but we are going to be leaving the space. Where we're going is Philadelphia Alley, which is probably the same alley that you were talking about earlier. We're going to be talking about a duel down there. However, we're not going to be able to spread out and investigate like what we did here. We're going to stick together, and it's because it's a very popular ghost tour stop. So filming, again, be very discreet because other tours may be coming down.
Be discreet and point your camera down whenever around
But
people.
when we go to the space after that, I'll be expecting bleed over from the alley because they're relatively close together. Quinn.
The name Quinn.
That's very interesting. I'm interested too in the name Walker. Like she said the name Walker earlier, and I want to see if there's a Walker on Big John's team. And maybe we have his jersey number from some of the crazy numbers you're getting out of there.
Bet it's 48.
I heard hi.
Might be. All right. Any major questions about the Pinckneys before we go learn about dueling?
Oh, that was really interesting.
Yeah, we actually had some really cool little happenings going on in here. So let's try to make this as easy as possible on Donna.
Yeah.
Donna, what were those last few numbers? Remember?
The last two. I think it's 58 and
48.
48.
Just 48. Step over here. It was like 65 again, wasn't it? Yeah, another
68.
68. High readings.
This building looks like it could be haunted.
Yeah, I've been looking into this building to buy it. So I can make a little haunted Airbnb out of it.
Yeah, I love it.
I can't
Yeah.
find any information on it though to see if it's actually haunted. But they are making hotels and some of this here on Market Street, so I don't know if this is going to be part of it or not.
Wow.
I'll make a right up here.
Jeez.
Watch where you're going. I remember when we were here? We walked through the market. See, everybody cleaned up their space.
Oh, that's the market.
Yeah. Come here, Trey. Come here, Trey.
Okay, let's go.
It keeps scrolling in so fast. But it wants somebody to convert something. Convert whatever.
Sorry, did I interrupt like the selfie family thing going on?
No, you're good.
Ooh, free cookie samples. Mom. Hey, Mom. Tomorrow we
Yeah,
can,
you
we can
actually
maybe
pause your
get
video,
a.
by the way. There's no point in getting some footage. Perfect. Look at that. So this is Philadelphia Alley now, but it used to be called Duelers Alley. So this is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. And we all talk about one specific duel. So I'm going to tell you a little bit different because, again, your ghost hunting is not doing paranormal horror stories. So let's kind of get into it. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. If you actually hear the song Brown Eyed Girl down here, it's not coincidence. So just kind of take that with what we're doing out here. Anyway, he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancee Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. So she has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. So Dr. Ladd comes to Charleston to prove that he's not after her money. As he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. He's dressed pretty well because he just graduated med school. Looks like he's got some money. So somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. I stopped there for just a minute because he actually has the same initials as where the doctor came from. We were getting the letters R.I. on regular spirit boxes all the time, so I bought the Ouija board to see if we can get it, again, a little bit more precise. So we've gotten it a few times, and again, I've had that for about 6 months now, so we've gotten it a handful of times. I'll count them on one hand. But anyway, back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try and kill you. Come with me. I got friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there, rent a room, and you'll be safe. Dr. Ladd took him up on the offer. They became friends. The longer the doctor stays here in Charleston, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he's not after Amanda's money. Amanda got wind of this. She's coming down so they can get married. Dr. Ladd became known as the whistling doctor because he whistled all the time. It's the 1780s. Wow, dressed up costume. Sorry. But anyway, by the way, every ghost tour down here will tell you to listen for the whistles, and we're going to get into that because every haunted city you will ever visit in your entire life actually has a cliched whistling ghost. And there's actually proof of this one, and we're going to get to that. Ralph and Dr. Ladd go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. So that's just kind of the way the hierarchy works. Anyway, they go see Richard III one night, and they're talking about the new actress on their way home. Dr. Ladd thought she was great, and Ralph didn't. So they start arguing. And then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiance back home in Rhode Island. Yeah, it gets really ugly, and they go their separate ways. Ralph has friends here, like I mentioned earlier. Goes to his friends at the newspaper, puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of you're a disgrace to society, sir. So, yeah, the doctor saw the ad, rebutted with, let's go to Duelers Alley. We're going to settle this. So they came down, they took the 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He didn't want it this. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up, which is often what happens. But Ralph has one bullet, and he puts it in the kneecap of the doctor. The lad fell to the ground. He didn't die, but his friends picked him up, carried him home to 59 Church Street, which, by the way, 59 is common. Dr. Ladd dies 10 days later, November 2nd of 1786, after refusing medical treatment. This is 1786. Bullet wounds were not the same as they are today. He was probably trying to bleed out this bullet wound himself, which is probably why he refused the medical treatment. So other versions of the story will tell you that the next best doctor came in and tried to save them and all kinds of mess. But again, I do a lot of research on these stories to make sure we're as historically accurate as possible. Again, every tour will tell you to listen for the whistles. It is always this quiet down here. We're gonna see if it has song of the air. But we're using my voice recorder right now. So again, you won't necessarily have to listen for whistles right now. You'll be listening for them in the background. If you're going to do this on your own and walk all the way through, keep in mind every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street is going to throw a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night. I have to pass this alley to get back to my car, and it's just a game I play with my daughter when she's on the tour. So especially since I got kicked out of here. Let's get into that, because that's the fun part. It tells you exactly why we're going to the place we're going to next. So this alley didn't always come all the way through this way. It actually cut off. There's probably a wall right about where we're standing. The reason why is because this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. So cows and chickens and all kinds of things were in here. The bricks on the other side are older than this side. So that means those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's 4 handprints from a slave child down there with some fingerprints wipes in the bricks. When this machine passes by, I will stop telling the story because again, this is me getting in trouble. So, by the way, the readings for your particular device, I don't get excited because we have a lot of lampposts around here, so 5 to 7 is about
Every part of that is true. The fact that the whole consequence of this happening is just goes roads here execution and like killing your.
I want to see if
I treat that handprint the same way I do a grave. That's the last place you're going to find that slave kid. He doesn't want to be staring at that brick in the afterlife. So, November 26th, 2020. Yes, very specific date. It's going to mean something. My entire team is huddled around one brick waiting for something to happen. Trying to shoo them along for the obvious reason, but it's also outside the kitchen window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. So I was just trying to be respectful, not knowing I was actually out of bounds. I was new at doing this and didn't know I wasn't allowed down there to take groups. So the new owner of the mansion came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting me all that. She was on the tour that night, and we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I worked in retail management for over 20 years, mainly for Walmart. So again, I understand my pain with Thanksgiving. So I want to sit at home and eat a turkey. Anyway, the next day was the 28th. So I told my team I had to reroute because I got a phone call from my partner that said you can't go all the way down that far. So I had to reroute my group with a new story. Because I'm not a pirate person, which is what the next story is. I'm a vampire guy. So I told my team, I don't believe in the story. We're going to see what happens. We got enough gear. We'll make it work. So before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I didn't tell them who we were going to be investigating. The famous female pirate Anne Bonny. So I went, okay, maybe we do got something. We get down there. I told a little bit I did know about piracy. Somebody else heard the number 300. I don't know what that means in real time. I write it down. Research the next morning. We were there November 28th of 1720 or 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of our pirate trial. So I went, damn it, now I gotta research pirates. You know how hard it is to put together a factual investigation based on pirate lore? It is very difficult. Everything we're about to discuss came from a minimum of 2 resources, so that way we had as much factual data as possible. So again, where we're going is going to have bleed over from here, the doctor story, hopefully, but we're going to be able to spread out. But there's another, it's a very popular ghost corner, so that whole corner is people moving around. We just stay out of their way. Let them do their thing, we'll do ours. Again, I don't have a whole lot of friends in this industry, as I'm sure you guys can imagine. Trey's like, man, this guy's weird. If you were wondering where the weirdos were, by the way, you're it. Look around. You're the weird group. So how's our word list coming? Do we have anything going on?
I got a 25 just now.
25.
Fellow.
Fellow. I like fellow because that seems like a very 1780s type of term. Dr. Lab is 22. As far as 25, again, the date of the duel itself is speculated. So again, it was late October because he died on November 2nd. Some stories will tell you that he died 4 days later. Others will tell you that it was 10 days.
Is there a graveyard on the other side of the wall?
There is. Let me point that out. Look at you beating the gun. So I normally stop over there by that gate. There's a gate inside the wall there. And I normally stand in front of it so I can point it out. That gate, remember the alley was cut off right about here. So that means if there was a loser to the duel, that was the shortcut to get to the cemetery on the other side. Otherwise, they'd have to go all the way down to Queen Street and loop back around with a dead body, which also delays drinking with the winner. So again, that gate, the wrought iron wasn't there. It's about early 1900s, I'm guessing. But the archway is definitely original to the alley when it was dual.
I don't know if he can he look or no?
Look at what?
Can he look in this now?
Oh yeah.
Or no?
There's
Yeah,
nobody down
because there's no one down there. Okay.
And he was actually holding that thing pretty steady, so we should actually have a pretty good shot if anything. Yep. You show it right up, dude. Like that.
All
Love
right.
it. All right, have you heard anything before we leave the space? And go learn about some crazy pirates?
Not really.
25.
Sure.
Jim, where would that hand be? You're not going to show
25,
us
but-
that.
So,
Everything else is just
all the way at the end of the
goes by so
alley,
fast.
it's about 14 bricks in from the edge, just left of center if you're going down this way.
Switch.
No, that's
Do you want to try?
Got it. Yep, so
Do you
that's
mind
pretty
if-
close
Do
here.
you mind if Trey tries this for a while?
You guys can intermix it. Have a good time. That's why you guys are here.
So if you were, I didn't notice the sign. Does the sign say Philadelphia Alley? or
So
not?
the Philadelphia, there's a street sign that says Philadelphia Alley, but there's also a placard in the center wall that says Philadelphia Alley, and kind of gives you the history of why it was named Philadelphia Alley. So Philadelphia actually helps save us financially out of one of our many, many fires, which is why when this from Dueler's Alley to Philadelphia Alley, dueling was illegal and stupid, and Dueler's Alley was a nickname because it was originally Kinloch's Court. So again, there's a lot of history here that goes on. Obviously, I did my research with the cows, and it was actually Cow Alley before it was Dueler's Alley because of the livestock. So again, there's a lot of history. So, but do you have anything else showing up?
Yep, just fellow. Oh, festival. Just popped up.
And nothing on the little Ouija board there?
No, it just keeps going with numbers and the letters over.
Yeah,
over.
so you get a prescription on there, like you can't pronounce it, like that's when you clear it off and things
Yeah,
start fresh.
it doesn't make any
But I'm
sense.
excited about the letters EP that showed up as we were leaving the space. Like normally I would expect ELP because of Eliza Lucas painting, but the EP right next to each other is not a joke either. Trey, you hearing anything?
I heard a reel.
Interesting. All right, let's go
I'm
on.
trying to wait.
Trying to wait.
Have you heard about remember the whole thing was it was a slave or something like that. He was hung and he didn't die. And if you don't die after hung, you're free.
He said go.
And
Go.
apparently he did voodoo in the graveyard here. Did you ever hear that story?
Yeah. So I just picked up a bunch of books on Denmark Vesey. He was like the rebellious slave that was leading a rebellion. And I wanted to learn more about him because there's speculation that the place where he was living is right near the Pinkley Mansions, where we just were. So that would be an interesting piece for me to add.
It gives me strength.
See, he's better at this than you.
He's way better. I knew he was going to be.
Yeah.
All right.
Things happen so fast, and I'm like, by the time I realize what I heard, I can't like get it out of my
Can't
mouth.
process it.
I couldn't get over the buzzing. Like, it
Yeah,
started
it-
making me dizzy.
So that's the first thing I do with my first cup of coffee in the morning to get it done and over with.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my expertise, is using all of the different styles of spirit box.
Yeah.
So on investigations where I'm invited, I bring all my spirit boxes because I know which ones are going to do what. That is probably the easiest one to learn.
Okay.
This looks pretty old. It could be the house of the farmer who had all that livestock.
Oh. You think this could be the house of the farmer that had all the livestock?
Uh-huh.
I
Possible.
like how he's putting pieces, like puzzling it together. How old are you?
8. Almost turning 9.
As young as 4. Come on.
Going on,
The new one on the left. Do we know what the gender of this one is? Yeah, I find stuff in there. Sometimes it's relevant to just, I don't know what it means. It's just weird to me that you hear it on the radio.
Yeah.
So I just write down the odd phrasing that I find.
And like, I mean, like everything was happening so fast, and it was just missing music there. And, like that word like really stood out.
Interesting.
So right now we would have had 3 babies if it was all the way back like 2 years ago. Yeah, I think like 2 years ago when my mom was pregnant with another baby,
Yep.
but then mysteriously it just disappeared.
Yep. Sure did.
Yeah. Those
So
things
that's
happen, buddy.
Yeah, they do. That's something to think about when we were doing this, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not wear my heavier sweatshirt? Yeah,
I kept asking if he wanted his coat, but he seems okay.
He's excited. He's got the adrenaline going.
I know.
All right, what do we got going on with the devices before I get into this crazy history? Still on festival. So Donna, with your device in here, I would be excited with anything above a 4 or 5 on this back half. We're going to wander to the front, not too close to the vehicles, of course. But we have electrical meters, or the parking meters on the other side, which we need to go off, and the electrical poles in the corners. So don't get excited. A lot of people see that. I will tell you that this is also the space with another different style of camera that I use, an infrared, where I caught the largest orb that I've ever caught. So it was larger than my head and definitely intelligent. So, I mean, it moved, saw me, and then went up a different direction, and then just dissipated. So, again, crazy things have happened in this location, but I will tell you also that this is a hit or miss location. When I say hit or miss, Anne Bonny is said to be seen all over town, But we are here primarily for that little building over there with the crosses on it. Those are not crosses, by the way. Those are earthquake bolts. If you're not familiar with earthquake bolts, they're basically turnbuckles. So in a nutshell, if we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, you can turn those turnbuckles and it's supposed to tighten the building back up to, stop the building from getting any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So the reason I bring these ones up specifically is because those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. Why? Because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. So we're here because this is what I call a familiar. If you watch the TV shows, you know they use a teddy bear to try to attract the child ghost. It's the same type of principle. Anne Bonny would recognize this building because it was being constructed at the same time that she was coming to Charleston to start a new life. So let's get into the story because it starts right in the middle of the construction of this building.
Sorry, before the story, I heard 8-year-old, go running, and then cigar industry.
Well, we were just talking about his age.
8.5 down
Yeah.
to 0.
You got an 8.5?
8.5.
Holy cow. Again, that's unexpected at this location. So 8.5, 8-year-old.
And now it's
8-year-old, and then cigar industry.
And go running, you
So
said.
was Anne Bonny, was
Go
she
on.
hung, or was she the one that got off because she was pregnant?
Right, and that's the story I'm about to tell.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So again, she's beating the gun on me.
Sorry, I'm a big history buff.
No, you're perfectly fine. You're perfectly fine. So
Absolutely.
you're 8.5. And then down to 0 on that one. Go running.
Still 0.
And then the cigar factory.
Cigar industry.
Industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting phrase to hear. I mean, we have the old cigar factory here, but that's, not something that's talked about on the radio. So, at any rate, so let's get into it. 1708, by the way, follow me. There's a lot of little twists in this story.
Okay.
Be mindful of that car, by the way, Kristen.
Oh, yeah.
You're looking like a YouTuber over there.
Right.
1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far?
Oh.
All right, perfect, yeah.
Wait, Anne comes with her
Her dad
dad
and his girlfriend.
and his girlfriend.
The girlfriend is Anne's mom.
The girlfriend's Anne mom. Okay,
The three of them are running away from Anne's father's angry wife.
got it.
Okay, everybody got that little scandal? That's a
Okay.
whole nother 30-minute story that we're not going to get into, by the way.
Okay.
Anyway, they come here, and how pissed off was she, by the way, that she got to leave the country to come here, so that wife, but they land in Georgetown. That's just north of us, between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad bought a plantation, mom died pretty quickly. So that means dad is sending young Anne down here to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat, hence the familiar building. So, back home in Ireland, Anne was kind of a badass even back then. They say when she was 7, 8, 9 years old, remember this is pirate lore, no numbers are ever going to be exact, that she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. We have had the term servant, knife, and belly all show up in the same evening here. Just so you know, that's how I actually learned about it, to be quite honest. But anyway, fast forward, the building's done in 13. By 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne is stoked. She's gonna fall in love so she can earn her freedom just like a man. So, first guy she falls in love with, James Bonny. And we're going to go through all of these gentlemen just so you guys know. James Bonny, dad doesn't approve. So, you can already see where this one's going. They ran away to Jamaica, they got married, yada, yada. Got it? Now, Anne Cormack is now Anne Bonny. However, you're not recording either, by the way, Kristen.
Oh,
so if
great.
you want to tap that circle.
Thank you.
So, when you get down there, James Bonny is not Captain Jack Sparrow like what she was hoping for, right? So this guy turns out to be a privateer, which means he's a spy for the British. He's a coward. This is not who she wants. A few years later, she falls in love again. This is John Rackham, aka Calico Jack. This is the guy that they based your Johnny Depp character off of, just so everybody knows who we're talking about.
Wow.
So Calico Jack has his own crew. Anne wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on a pirate crew. Anybody know why? Keep it family friendly. We have 8-year-old ears here. Okay. Nobody knows. It's bad luck.
Okay.
So, we're just going to go with bad luck.
I'm just gonna
Got
go
it?
with bad luck. Got it.
So,
Yeah.
he makes a deal with her. If you dress like the crew, meaning you're going to hide your gender, then you can be part of the crew. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. So she gets it. Let's do this, right? She's a female in his quarters, though. Let's put 2 and 2 together, all
Sure.
of you adults. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's
No.
going to figure out that she's a girl, and
Right.
then Jack let her on the ship. So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby here. These are friends of mine. Come back later and we'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. None of my research has ever found it. But she comes back dressed as a female. This makes Jack angry because now everybody's going to know that he let a girl on the crew, on the ship. So while she was gone giving birth to his baby, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. Anne's gonna go flirting because that's who Anne is. She's gonna make him even more mad. We're on guy number 3, in case you lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. So now we have 2 females on the same ship trying to be male pirates. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Mary and Mark have shown up on spirit boxes in the past. Her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're not going to really know for sure, but the British found out where they are. They send a fleet of ships to come take down one measly pirate ship. The rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1 bullet flintlocks. That's obviously not going to work out very well against a fleet of ships, and that's probably because they didn't know how to use the cannon jet either. So obviously they get arrested. As they're being arrested, she looks at her beau and captain, Calico Jack, and she says, "Sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't have to be hanged like a dog." The word dog is very prominent here as well for spirit boxes. Yeah. The judge, he wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back so violently on their own. Calico Jack and the drunk pirates are already hung and dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front, reveal their gender. The judge doesn't care that they're female. He's still gonna hang them. They're still pirates. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they shouted, because you cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're not really sure about Mary Reed, so we're going to go with it. And she dies at the age of 84 after having 4 children.
God bless her.
So there's a lot going on here. I will tell you that I'm not going to give you a whole crap ton of questions like what we did at the Pinckney Mansion site. I only left out 2 measly details on purpose, so you guys can ask whatever the hell you want to, including yes/no questions if you'd like. Just because I know that that's going to be an app for you. I left out the name of Anne Bonny's parents, so you can ask what her parents' names were. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. Anne Bonny also loves to show us what her hair color is, or tell us what her hair color is, so we will get the word red here quite a bit. Readings again.
Kelly.
I don't know who Kelly is, but I'm going to write it down. We're also in the month of March, so I'll be looking for other specific clues to another story nearby. I think you guys already pointed out that there's a graveyard on the other side of us as well. So behind you guys is the western side of the St. Philip Cemetery. So again, there is a specific person in there that will come through in the month of March. So if I start to see those signs, I'll let you know what you guys are telling me and what you're seeing. Do we have anything going on with your devices over there?
Strange Cargo Hill.
I like cargo.
Yeah.
Like died on the hill. Trey, what do you got?
Cousin and relationship.
I showed up here. So there's literally like 15 stories on this corner. So when you guys tell me things, I have to like stop. Like
Yeah.
the cousin thing showed up here a few nights ago. So I know exactly what that's referring to. So I'll, relay that here, once I give you guys all the answers before we leave the space. So cousin is definitely relevant. And what was the other thing you heard?
Relationship.
Relationship, and then make the switch.
Maybe that was the description of
Just
how
heard of John.
See if anything else comes up with Mr. Rackham. And then, again, you're 8.5. That is, I don't normally expect readings here at all.
Yeah, but the weird thing is, I haven't even gotten point anything since then. It's just 0.
So that's a replacement device. The other one that I had that broke, it actually had a REM pod built into it for motion.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how we would get Anne Bonny to show us her hair color, because it actually works with colors. So, but again, the replacement they sent me doesn't have that feature. So I'm waiting on the new one to come in. In the meantime, I told them, like, I'm going to have to hang on to this because of what I do for a living. And so I actually have it. And it is one of the most accurate EMF detectors
It's
I've ever.
working because the
Temperatures, yeah.
adjusts.
So if you ever see the word hold on your screen because you accidentally tapped something, just let me know and we'll reset it. But usually that's kind of like, I'm not getting anything. And then I go over and somebody tapped the hold button so it doesn't do anything. It'll just hold it, whatever reading it finds. Dominic, you finding anything in that crazy camera?
I mean, when I look over there, I keep seeing something.
It's flashing, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting upside down in corn.
Upside down and corn.
Mm-hmm.
Father had a plantation. But
Shot by guilty pleasures.
One of the funny things is we usually get the song "Girls Just Want to Have Fun" here. Like we get that all the time.
Which is a great guilty pleasure song.
It is.
And also,
Fowler. Is that what
that's a
B-O-W-E-R, Fowler?
I don't know. That sounds like a last name. Is that on the Ouija board?
Yeah. It's L-W and then Fowler. B-O-W-E-R. And Cole. C-O-L-E. On this one.
Oh, that one I don't have to write down.
We had the idea to name our baby Cole.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the one in there.
Wow.
Well, somebody approves. They think it's a great idea.
Apparently.
my maiden name is Coley.
Instead, we went with Leatherface.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very homey warmth.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
right.
You got it.
By the way, this is also not a space like the prominent English woman that we were dealing with earlier. Like, we can poke the bear here a little bit. We're talking about a sassy pirate.
Yeah.
So again, I have a phrase that I use whenever I'm teaching people how to use this, and it's know your ghost. Because again, prominent English woman, we will piss her off, and all activity will stop. I've seen it. I've gotten nasty messages from that space, and all activity stopped immediately after. And when I say like nasty messages, it was not radio chatter coming through, and it's please just leave us alone that went over 13 different radio stations.
Wow.
So again, there are some nights, it depends on my people. I've had disrespectful people go in there and joke around. I'm like, yo, what's up, Eliza? And I'm like, oh, no, stop.
Right.
Like, that's disrespectful to a colonial woman. Like,
Right.
that's a no.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I did just hear the Alanis Morissette song.
Which
What was the lyric?
The first one.
You ought to know?
You ought to know that one?
That's what it was.
But what was the lyric?
I don't know.
Because there's a lot of lyrics
I know the
notes.
tune.
Yeah, the
But I
tune.
didn't catch which lyrics it was.
Right.
It's about the lyrics, not the song.
Yeah. Well, that song is a pretty FU sort of song.
Yes.
So.
Oh gosh. You know, it's more FU, the song called FU.
Oh, yes, there is a song.
Yes, there is.
There is a song.
Singing what's her name?
CeeLo Green. Who does that?
Yeah, I think
There's
my
another one
daughter.
that's an English singer.
Oh.
She sings it. Yeah. It's wonderful.
It's a funny one.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh.
like a show tune.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. My daughter's a drama kid, so that's all she listens to is musicals. So, you know, so again, of course, she plays it in the car when I pick her up. I'm like, do we have to go through this right now?
Right.
But we're gonna actually head over towards that wall and see what your devices do. We'll kind of see if anything's coming up for Trey a little bit more, because that's a place to sit down.
What?
What you got?
No.
You good?
Nothing? What was it?
It sounded like adult noises.
Oh.
What does that sound like? I mean, what is that?
Yep.
Okay.
8-year-old
Leave that
ears.
right
everybody.
there.
8-year-old ears. This way, Donna. Can actually have a seat. I love how you have that thing strapped in. I love it.
These earthquake points are everywhere.
Yeah.
I've been all over America, all over Europe. They're everywhere.
Yep. Well, here we like to decorate them with lion heads and pineapples and, you know, stupid Charleston charm stuff, so you guys
Maybe
feel all
trees.
touristy.
Are you,
So we're
Are
gonna
you
give these
recording,
devices
bud?
a few
Yeah,
more
I'm
minutes,
recording.
and then
Yeah, recording.
if we don't have anything major coming out of Trey or your word list, 423. Again, electrical pole. So I'm looking for things above 7 over here. Anything crazy going on with yours? Kristen?
No, I mean, I'm looking, what am I, like, really looking for?
Any blue shapes to start moving?
Blue shapes that start moving, not just blue areas.
Right. Yeah, there's going to be blue areas if we're in the frame.
Right.
You want them to start moving, and when I say moving and taking shape,
Payments.
was it?
Payments.
I'm looking for
And first kiss.
First kiss I like, obviously.
Is there anyone here that's a male?
So just because you keep triggering it, let's go. A little bit easier for you. Keep triggering yes, no questions in your head, so let's see if you can get the answers that way. I would definitely turn the sensitivity down because of the electrical pole. So let's kind of get that about halfway and see if we can get some legitimate answers.
Is there a man here? A male spirit? No. Is there a female spirit here?
What's that? Is that Mom?
No.
Yeah, that's mine.
Okay.
It's just jumping back and
It's got a better angle than me. I gotta ask.
Project Love.
He is better at this than you.
I knew he would be.
It's funny as I hand that thing to teenage girls. Oh my God, I gotta tell them to slow down.
Right.
Because that's all they do is listen to the earbuds.
Oh, true.
Throw these earbuds away. So, Trey's obviously getting a lot of like lovey type terms. So he's getting like first kiss.
Oh, yeah.
You know, obviously lots of love terms.
I heard another relationship.
Relationship.
Oh,
Make the switch.
Sweet. Sweet.
So let's cover the answers because I don't feel like we have a whole lot going on. I know Dominic hasn't seen anything in his camera here that he hasn't been able to debunk. He's getting pretty good at that, I think.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. It might have just been a pole though. But it looks like some sort of thing with no head.
Is it a sign? Signs will look that way, like they don't have a head. I'll lighten it up and find out. I would say go ahead and stop your recordings at this point. So once you come out here, you can work on the piece you're supposed to be working on, and kind of take things from there. Leave the wife behind. She's got her parents at home, so he took him up on the offer, and it's where he wrote his last words. His last words were "beholder of brief mortality," which translates to "person of short life." And then he coughs, and it lands on the page in a blood stain. That blood stain looks like a man writing over his desk. Henry had tuberculosis, which is why it came up as a blood stain. So we call this the blood book here in Charleston. They show it one day a year at the Charleston Library Society, and you have to be a member of the society to go visually see the book. But the internet's beautiful, so I'm going to show you what this blood page actually looks like. So we have gotten the term blood and book here together in the same evening. This is also, keep in mind, where I would do the Estes method, where I would take half the group over and tell them the story, while the other half of the group sits over here. So I have half the group in the dark, and then the other half knows what's going to be expected. This is the blood book. You can see where the blood stain.
Oh, yeah. Looks like a good dude riding.
So, this guy is very shy, very timid. So he's kind of takes a few minutes to get used to us, which is another reason why I just kind of kept chit-chatting, let him know I'm here, kind of hear my voice a little bit. The camera that Dominic's using, there's a reason why I have it. It's this space. Somebody brought one of the big chunky monkey ones one night to the tour. I get people that bring their own gear, want to test it out with me all the time. So it was pretty dud of a night on his camera. So we're standing over there next to the bust, and he has a full figure standing right next to it, taller than the gate. So I was kind of like, all right. So I walked around, kind of making sure he has a point of reference, and we had an 8-minute interaction with this particular being there. So it was, Henry, is it okay if I read some of your poetry? Raise your right hand. We got the right hand up, and he dropped it again. He disappeared after that 8 minutes because the only female in the group goes over to the side of the gate and outstretches her hand and asks Henry to shake it, and he disappeared. You have to remember the time he came from. Women outstretching their hand that way would have been disrespectful, and we couldn't get him back. The problem with that whole scenario was the man didn't know how to record with his new camera. So we were using my infrared camera over his shoulder to get the footage.
Oh my god.
Like, it was crazy.
That's wild.
So 8 full minutes. So again, I've been trying out some crazy things in here. We are going to explore the space. This is another space where we get very high EMF. So it can happen. I'm not going to say it's going to. We've had it all the way up to 182 last week. Those are almost dangerous levels. And remember, I have epilepsy. That's too much electricity in the air for me. So again, it doesn't take long for, I would say, probably 4 or 5 minutes in that kind of high frequencies for me to start getting a little dizzy and my eyes start to move around. I will know what's going on if we get those kind of EMF readings going on.
Okay.
But up to 100, we're pretty safe. Your microwave will go up to 150 to 170. So just kind of keep that in mind. I use those EMF detectors for safety. That's why we always have one out. So, all right. I say we walk around. Let's get you back on record.
Ready?
If the other tourists don't
I'm already on the record.
Oh, beautiful. Look at you, man. You're like a pro. I'm going to give you a job in a few years.
I might.
You might.
Yeah. This could be your college job instead of
Might be.
working at McDonald's. That's what he wants to do while he's in college. You could do this instead.
I mean, it's a pretty good pay job.
What? This? Or McDonald's?
McDonald's. You would get like about $5,000 per year.
That's not.
For him,
Whoa.
that's $1 million, bro.
Yep.
You got something? And we also want to keep in mind, like, those are neighbors back there.
Oh, okay.
Those are houses.
Okay.
So, nice and slow. Do you have the right filter up? What color is my stick figure?
Green.
No, we have the wrong filter up. It's easier to see. Oh, we need to stop. And I should be purple now.
Yep, you're purple.
The reason I do it that way is because the infrared shows up purple. So that way when you
I see something! A full one!
I know. It's kind of moving around.
Whoa.
Full.
Got a lot of trees over there. But you did have a couple of like figures in there.
Yeah.
There he is.
There's one.
It's right at the corner of the gate.
Keep it still.
Keep it still. Keep it still. Henry, if that's you, I can see you on the camera.
Henry, if that's you, raise your right hand.
That's going to be this side, just so you know. Henry, can you raise your hand for us? Wow.
Whoa. Whoa. Bells. Wow, Dom.
Henry, tell us what you're hearing right now.
Do you hear anything?
What do you say we move a little bit closer just so we can kind of verify? Still there, still same shape. It's almost like we have two people in there. Because we got one keeps appearing right here.
Whoa.
We've also, with this camera, we've
Whoa.
caught somebody on the side of that tree, like sitting next to it, back to it, knees up, arms up, like they're reading a book. Like the craziest thing.
Crazy. Wow, Dom, look.
I'm a little shaky.
You'll be okay.
It's okay, you're doing a good job.
Henry, we need you to raise your right hand for us. We need to know that that's actually you standing there. Henry, raise your right hand, please.
Looks like it's moving a little.
It's almost like we have two figures.
Yeah.
Raise your right hand. I want to get in view so you kind of have a point of reference.
All
I'm
right,
gonna-
let's see.
Yeah, you stay right there.
Stay right
I'm
there,
gonna go
though.
on this side because you have more space.
Okay, there's. I
See
see.
me in
Can
there,
see
too?
him. Yep. But I can't see. Can't
Oh,
see.
I see
Bo.
him.
Now he's. There.
I'm gonna take your EMF detector.
That.
I'm gonna walk up there and see if I can get a reading. Am I near it?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Any readings?
No, it.
He's gone.
Yeah, it's just you now.
Yeah.
Looks like I got close and he went away.
I see something.
Oh, yeah. So we see you coming back.
Now he's back. Now he's back. I don't think he wants you getting too close, or else he gets scared.
So what I do is I take screenshots of that and I
You
brighten it up
shaking?
so I can see if
Done?
anything's going on.
Yeah.
Cause you're nervous, or because it's heavy. Do you want to
I've
switch
been
me?
holding it all
Do
night.
you want to
Sure.
switch me?
Sure.
You hold that.
Yeah, one-handed. So take your left hand off. See how your fingers are in view? There you go. Have you heard anything at all?
Not really.
Okay.
Henry, if you're there, move to the left side of the gate.
You gotta point your camera up a little bit this way. There you go. lot of that is going to be the trees.
Yeah.
But that one figure that just kept standing there,
That was
from the ground.
Yeah, that was definitely from the ground. Oh,
Looks like he's coming back.
maybe.
I think a lot of that stuff to the right of him is in the trees.
Yeah.
Like all the tree branches and... Interesting. We have the word butter. Henry's hungry.
Some biscuits.
Henry, if you're hungry, raise your right hand.
I'm not getting him anymore.
He doesn't have any cold anything either.
No. Okay,
And I
let's
didn't
keep
have
walking
any
around.
Ratings. Yeah, let's kind of get it.
Do you want to do this still, Dom? This one?
No thanks.
You want to do that one? Okay.
I want to go to like the common space where we've been getting some of the high readings.
Okay.
And it hasn't been every night, but now I have the word cholesterol.
I had blender.
Butter and cholesterol.
That's so
Blender.
interesting.
And blender. Maybe we have Mrs. Butterworth.
Whoa, Dom, that was so cool.
Yeah. A little shaky.
Yeah. It's exciting.
What I just experienced was probably one of the most exciting things in my life.
Wow,
I
honey.
have to tell Alex this.
I can't wait for you to tell Alex.
Had like a little 4.4.
Okay.
This is the space where we've had it again. It'll go all the way up to 170, 180 up here on this
Yeah.
little grassy area.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I have an idea.
Her
The other-
jacket.
3.9.
Maybe.
What?
Ah,
Uh-oh. That's why you don't touch it with your left hand, remember?
Yeah.
so maybe
If you need to
like
have two hands, put it under here.
maybe like because you're getting like a little bit of a higher reading over here is maybe because the box with the gem in it
Is over here.
is
Eyebrow.
over here and it has like warm air inside of it.
Maybe.
Now we're at 13.1. I also look for patterns out of this guy. So if I see like a 2.5, then a 3, 2.5, then a 3.
Okay.
It's usually something from something man-made. Usually a cell phone. It's going to send off pulses.
Okay.
That kind of thing. So if it's steady, it just
Okay.
stays at like a 5. for
Right.
A minute and a half.
Right.
It's obviously a steady EMF from an electrical pole or something.
Right.
like that.
Okay.
But when it starts jumping around, that's usually where I get excited.
Okay.
Jean.
Jean or Jane?
Jean. Plan for God. Mother.
So that one's relevant. We've been getting that one a lot. We'll see if something else pops up to verify it. Buried. What were you just telling me about the jewel and the treasure?
Maybe it's buried.
Maybe Henry's going to tell me where it's at. How cool would that be?
That would be cool.
I'm ghost hunting and he tells me exactly where the damn box is.
Yeah, that would be great.
Henry, if you're here, show us where the box with jewel is in.
Oh. Good idea, Mom. I know, I don't know what that is. I think that might be a tree.
Might be Henry. I'm gonna point this into the exact area.
Thinking it's probably a tree.
Let's tap this guy. Give us another minute. What else you got going on, Trey? because I'm not getting those high ass readings like I was before. And the fact that we're not getting them just verifies what I got here the other night.
They shall not. Parents. So we had mother and then we had parents.
Wait, maybe the pirate is still here.
You think the pirate is
This
here,
guy's
Don?
not a pirate. He's a
I know, but like the one pirate girl.
man.
Following with the
Constellation.
pirates?
No, I don't think so. Maybe there's one of a ship, though.
I keep hearing the word many.
Many? M-A-N-Y?
M-A-N-Y. Many. I've heard it like 3 or 4 times.
I had the word any before, and one of the Estes methods that we did, we asked how many ghosts were here because we were getting a bunch of clues about that memorial,
Mm-hmm.
that is Andrew Jackson's mother right
Oh,
there.
okay.
That's what that memorial is to. That's why I said the mother makes sense.
Oh, wow.
But we kept getting the number 5. So, and it was the Estes method. So the guy had no idea.
No idea, yeah.
So he kept like 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Like he kept saying it.
Wow.
I think it was the craziest thing. So who else is here? We're going to give you another minute before we turn off our little machines here. Tell us who's here. You know how to use all these little boxes I bring. It's not like I'm not here every night.
I'm not seeing anybody else.
Yeah, that thermal can be, it's cool to watch, but
The
it can
one
be
in the family.
Which one in the family?
The one in the family.
Which one? Tell us.
Oh, it's that thing.
I wonder why the ground is cold, but this gravestone is so hot.
So
Mm.
that stone is going to hang on to the heat from the sun when it was out during the daytime, whereas brick gets really cool at night. Learn a lot about temperatures when working with that crazy camera.
Is
How
that
much
just...
sin committed?
Is that the benches?
Yeah, I don't see the form of anything, so it's got to be
Yeah.
picking up the pole.
The benches,
something for
yeah.
Gym. All right, guys, I think I'm going to call it.
Yeah,
These
I
are
think
the
so
still
too.
missing things, which is fine. A random incident, that's okay.
So, can I stop the recording?
Yeah, we can stop the recording.